Hello, good whatever time you're watching this. I'm sorry, I don't know if it could be morning, could be afternoon, could be nighttime, whatever. And welcome to the very first ever Let Joe Talk. My name is Joe Soprano, and thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to watch me hopefully just rambling about something I want to talk about. Well, then again, that's the point of Let Joe Talk. Me talking to you directly about something that I feel passionate about today. So with that in mind, let's get started with the very first episode. Today I want to talk about how comic book movies ever since last year's Doctor Strange has been perfectly well reviewed, which is really crazy to think about since we never had this amazing streak of well-reviewed movies since forever. On top of my head, I really can't think of it. These films have been praised by fans and critics, and even some of them have been described as raising the bar for superhero movies, getting praised for being one of the best comic book movies of all time. And that's crazy to think about, and it's only been a short time span. I've been a fan of comic book movies ever since 2002's Spider-Man, and boy have we come a long way since. And I'm really going to say this, I really do believe we're actually entering a golden era for comic book movies. Yes, I'm saying it, we're entering a golden era. So long as the streak keeps going. While there are currently millions of fans around the world that are currently enjoying these movies, I do believe eventually in the future, the genre of superhero movies will eventually die down, as with the Western genre. Like some random person said, I'm sorry if I don't know the name, too much of a good thing will ruin it. But let's enjoy what we're living in right now before eventually the genre does die down. Marvel Studios is killing it with their shared universe, with the characters that they own, or at least contracted to use at least. Big name heroes or even ones you can ask someone off the street that barely would even know. Marvel will make an amazing movie with that character. But how do they do it? They pair them up with great directors, great writers who are all passionate for the source material, and they don't even need some of the bigger names of directors like Christopher Nolan, but he already did the Batman movie, so I don't even know why I'm mentioning him. Mel Gibson, Quentin Tarantino. They don't even need big name directors like that. They can take directors such as the Russo brothers, James Gunn, or even someone like Peyton Reed. They can take these characters and make great films about them. Marvel can choose any director they want despite their previous background. Scott Derrickson did horror films beforehand. Did not stop Marvel from picking him to do a magical-based film with Doctor Strange. Marvel picked the Russo brothers. Despite their background doing comedic work, they still were able to deliver great films such as The Winter Soldier, which no one expected to do well. Now they're directing two of the biggest comic book movies of all time with Avengers Infinity War and the upcoming Avengers 4. Again, no one expected this to happen. I certainly thought the Russo brothers weren't that much of a good choice. I honestly didn't believe the film was going to do well, but boy, did they prove me wrong when I saw The Winter Soldier back in 2014. Marvel Studios has certainly changed the way we make superhero films, and of course, they inspired other studios to follow their example. For better or for worse. Mostly for worse. Now, the myth, as I stated before, them hiring great director, them getting the right writers, and of course casting all these characters correctly, and all of them are passionate for the project, it's going to be good. But the most important method that Marvel has established is that they let the directors, they let all the creative team behind the film do what they want with the films. As of late, they tell them you are allowed to do whatever film you want, and we're going to release it with the right supervision, of course. But usually they pick now the right directors to handle these projects, and the outcome is amazing. And now this method is finally starting to take hold with Fox and Warner Brothers. Now, to be fair, DC and Fox did have their fair share of problems in the past when interfering with films, such as 2015's Fantastic Four, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad, to list recent examples. Now Fox is on the right path. For example, their recent film, Logan, that just came out back in March, was superbly great. It was a well-critically acclaimed film. Fans loved it. It's being hailed still as one of the best comic book movies of all time. Now, that is a feat that is very, very hard to get, such as you have to compare it to Spider-Man 2, the Avenger, original one, and even X-Men 2. That's a hard feat to reach. But Fox did it. Why? Because Fox finally wised up and realized, okay, we can start taking risks, and we can start trusting the directors with the films they want to make. James Mangold and Hugh Jackman took very big risks. Even Hugh Jackman took a pay cut to make Logan happen. They were allowed to finally make the Wolverine story they wanted to make. An R-rated finale to Hugh Jackman's character, and it was well done. Logan was a beautifully crafted film that they pitched to Fox years ago before Deadpool. Would have been a very different film, a PG-13 style film, or it may not have ever reached it off the ground, like the original Deadpool did back in 2009. Now Fox is on the right track. Deadpool 2 is being made with Dave Lynch, who directed a beautifully crafted action film, John Wick, and now with the assistance of Ryan Reynolds, it's going to be a great film. I guarantee it. Also, they're making a film called The New Mutants. Again, who are the New Mutants? We'll find out next year. But they also got another passionate director with Josh Boone to direct and write the script. Again, if you're passionate about the project, it's gonna be great. And here's hoping Simon Kinberg does well with X-Men Dark Phoenix. I do not want to see another X-Men Last Stand debacle again. Now, moving on to the other spectrum with DC Films, it was on the right track with its extended universe. I don't know why it's called that. Don't ask me. Ask Warner Brothers. But now they're on the right path. Man of Steel was divisive. Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad were panned by everyone. Then Wonder Woman came back in June, and the whole game changed. It showed, yes, DC can still make great movies without Christopher Nolan. They took Wonder Woman, the very first ever female superhero, and gave her a great film. Granted, it was always going to be something to live up to the legend. The first superhero woman-led film. And it was so successful. It broke so many records. And of course, now people are excited for Justice League. They're excited for Aquaman. They're excited for the future. Again, now Warner Bros. Is finally on track. Patty Jenkins, who was actually, hilariously enough, was supposed to direct Thor: The Dark World back in 2013, but she dropped because of creative differences. Then she took all the ideas she had for that movie, and of course with her own ones for Wonder Woman, she made Wonder Woman, and it was great, because guess what? They didn't interfere with it. I think the problem Batman v Superman had was, again, it was a world-building film, which is a problem with so many franchises trying to be starting up, because they're trying to create this whole cinematic universe, but trying to force it all into one film. Marvel took its time. Of course, Iron Man 2 was debatably bad. But they forced so much into Batman v Superman that it wasn't a great film. It just felt all over the place. Like, each part of the film could have been its own film, but they crammed it into 2.5 hours movie. But enough about that. Now again, like I said before, DC's on the right track now. Wonder Woman did great. I have high hopes that Justice League is going to be well as well. James Wan, who directed Furious 7 and some pretty good horror movies, is directing Aquaman. And I've seen what he's talked about before in interviews. He's very passionate for the character. I do believe this film's going to do well. It's finally going to put Aquaman back on the map. Should Justice League not do it? And speaking of Justice League, DC now has a hand on Joss Whedon, who directed the first 2 Avenger, and he's making a Batgirl film. Now, you know, as well as I do, that film's going to be badass. A Batgirl film? Let's go. And speaking of badass, even though that the Batman movie still weighs out, sadly for me, because I'm a big Batman fan, Matt Reeves, who directed the last 2 Planet of the Apes films, which were so great. I watched those films and they were amazing films. I was not expecting that from a Planet of the Apes film, let alone anything apes related, to be honest with you. I saw that, I thought it was just going to be a generic action movie, but it was so great. And I know with Matt Reeves behind the helm with the Batman, he's going to have a kick-ass movie on his hand. Let's just take a look at the slate briefly for what's coming up in the future. And why, yes, it's going to be in good hands. There might be some hitters. I could be wrong. But let's take a look at it. Marvel Studios is doing Thor Ragnarok next. You've seen the trailers. It looks amazing. Tahiti Wakata, I butchered that name. I apologize. Even George seen his movies. And there is a lot of energy going into Thor Ragnarok. Yes, people are getting hyped for a Thor movie. We haven't had that since the original Thor. Then they're doing Black Panther next, which Ryan Coogler is directing. If you don't know who Ryan Coogler is, I highly suggest you check out Fruitvale Station and Creed. 2 great movies by an up-and-coming filmmaker. Those 2 films have been critically acclaimed by everyone, by fans. I seen Creed. It was amazing. I'm really happy for Black Panther. I really can't believe that Ryan Coogler is directing a film. I can't wait to see it in February. Then, of course, Infinity War and Avengers 4, Russo Brothers, as stated before, they're directing that movie. And if it's anything like Winter Soldier or Civil War, it's going to be fucking amazing. Peyton Reed's coming back for Ant-Man and the Wasp. No one expected Ant-Man to be good after Edgar Wright sadly left. But however, since Peyton Reed took over, and it was such a great film in the original Ant-Man, I'm still hopeful that Ant-Man and the Wasp will also be on that same level of hype. As stated before, Fox is getting Deadpool 2, New Mutants, X-Men Dark Phoenix, Gambit. Hopefully that's still good. Hopefully Gambit will continue the success of Deadpool and Logan, making us another R-rated superhero film that fans are going to enjoy, with Channing Tatum, as I like to point out. And DC, of course, they're making Justice League, they're making Aquaman, they're making Shazam as their next movie. It's really exciting to see how finally DC is hopefully getting the right people, getting those right elements to finally make great movies again. Because we haven't had debatably good DC film since the original Nolan trilogy. But this isn't me fanboying over these movies. This isn't me talking specifics. It's because finally, after so long, comic book nerds are finally getting what they want. What they enjoyed in the comic books is finally coming to life. Sure, as we said before, comic book movies, there's going to be some bad ones. I can already predict which films in the upcoming slate could be bad. There is no getting wrong with it, but I'm just saying, we've just been on an incredible pace here. Doctor Strange, Logan, Guardians 2, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming, yes. And we still have Thor Ragnarok, Justice League, and I do believe this is it. This is the golden era standard of movies. So long as they all know these things. Get the right directors. Get the right writers. Cast great actors for these roles. Well-known, unknown, middle-known, TV actors, whatever. We're in that era where we don't need big names anymore. We just need the right people. And so long as Marvel, Fox, and DC still have them in mind, the future comic book movies is hopefully in safe hands. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you have any criticisms, anything you want me to let me know for future episodes, this was the first episode, so it's going to be a little rough. Let me know in the comments below. I will improve in future video. I will see you guys next week.